So imagine this. An 11-year-old boy has a near-death experience, but he claims he came back with a message for the entire world. And what he says is both a promise and a pretty serious warning. Let's explore this incredible story of the bridge and the closing door. It's a question we've all probably wondered about at some point, right? If you had that chance, what would you say? Well, for this one young boy, the answer he brought back wasn't just for him. He believed it was a critical warning for every single one of us. So let's really unpack the story he told. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. This whole extraordinary story kicks off, like so many do, with a single, tragic moment that just changed absolutely everything. We meet Dave. He's just a regular 11-year-old kid whose life is tragically cut short in a car accident. This absolutely devastating event becomes the catalyst for an experience that, at least according to the account, completely defies any normal explanation.
Now, this is where things get really fascinating. In his vision, Dave was apparently shown this powerful metaphor for salvation, and it really forms the heart of his entire message.
So, in his account, Dave describes finding himself in the presence of Jesus. And it's right there that he says he learned a completely new way of thinking about the very concept of salvation itself. The vision apparently gave him a really stark choice. Picture this. There's a huge chasm. On one side, you see all these ladders. These represent all our human efforts, good works, religious rituals, all the things we do. And on the other side, there's just a single direct path, the bridge. They were presented as two fundamentally different ways to get across. The message Dave says he received was boiled down to this one powerful statement. Human efforts and religious rituals are insufficient ladders. I am the only bridge. The core idea here is that trying to climb your way to heaven on your own efforts is basically pointless. Instead, the only way across is through this one provided connection. All right, so the vision didn't just offer a path. It also came with a really dire, time-sensitive warning about the future. And this is where things get urgent. Dave was told that a spiritual winter was coming. You can just feel what that means, right? A time of cold, of great difficulty, and fading faith. And this whole period would be defined by what he called a closing door, which basically symbolized a window of opportunity that was shrinking fast. And get this. This wasn't some vague, someday kind of prophecy. The vision gave a specific starting point, January. That detail just adds this profound sense of urgency to the whole message, doesn't it? It turns it from a general idea into an immediate, pressing call to action. To make the warning even clearer, the vision used two really vivid symbols. First, hollow trees. These represented people or even institutions that looked strong and sturdy on the outside, but inside, they were spiritually empty. Then there were the sinking ships, which symbolized our reliance on material security, on wealth, things that would ultimately fail when we needed them most. Now, you have to remember, an incredible experience like this doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It sent shockwaves through Dave's own family, creating this deep, deep rift between their long-held traditions and his brand-new conviction. And you can really see this conflict clearly when you compare their beliefs side by side. The father, he stayed rooted in tradition, in human works, in all those rituals, the very ladders the vision warned about. But his son, Dave, was now absolutely convinced of something totally different, that salvation only came through faith in the bridge. It was this fundamental clash between tradition and a powerful personal revelation. And all of this brings us to the culmination of the account, a final, urgent message. And it's not just a warning, it's a clear instruction manual for what to do next. See, the message wasn't passive. It wasn't just be scared. It was a direct call to get moving. The vision laid out 3 very specific steps that people needed to take to prepare for this spiritual winter that was supposedly on its way. So the core actions were crystal clear. First, abandon self-reliance and stop trusting in material things. Get off those sinking ships. Second, seek reconciliation and forgiveness, especially within your own family. And finally, prioritize faith above everything else, really preparing for a time when that faith would be seriously tested. So this whole story leaves us with a really compelling question to think about. I mean, whether you interpret this account as a literal vision or maybe as a profound metaphor, it forces you to consider just how deeply a single personal experience can challenge, reshape, and ultimately define what someone truly believes.